Good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox. So when I was in Special Forces, we did a lot of things and we learned a lot of things. And one of the things that we did was plan the heck out of our missions. Oh my Lord. You know, PACE, primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. That's like the entry level. That's my very first video, by the way. You should go watch that. It's kind of funny to see how I was then so uptight in front of the camera and how I am now. But anyway, something that everyone has to understand is no matter how good you think your plan is, how you envision this thing going down that we're going to do, the enemy has a vote. We're going to look at that in today's video. The enemy having a vote. All right, cue the intro. Good morning. This is coffee. This is a homemade chocolate chip cookie. Not exactly the breakfast of champions. I'm putting on weight here. Pew! We're back. All right. Lame, right? I think that the next month or so, between now and the inauguration, is a very potentially dangerous time. And so I'm going to encourage you to apply some of the things I learned in Special Forces for the next 30 days or so. And actually, I'd like you to do it long before the next 30 days. Understand this concept. The enemy has a vote in whatever plan you have. Now, we can take military concepts like enemy friendly. You can apply those to anything. Your enemy doesn't mean that you have to grab a rifle and go start pulling a trigger, right? Your enemy could be the weather that's coming on your garden. It's just the opposition, right? You can use it in business. You're Ford, they're Chevy, and so we have to plan some things in relation to what they're doing. So don't take this video in a direction that I totally am not intending it to be taken, okay? But obviously of the two major candidates, Trump and Hillary, I'm a Trump supporter. You got to pick one or just sit back and do this. And so when I refer to Hillary as the enemy, I don't need a visit from guys in suits. But she's the opposition, right? And when we would plan a mission, we would war game our plan. We would come up with a few different, if it's like the plan is to go from point A to point B and do this thing, we would look at least 3 different ways to get that done, unrelated ways, and then we would pick the best way. Well, the way we picked the best way was what we called wargaming, and we would compare different courses of action with different factors, and we would say, all right, this one's the best way, let's do this, right? Well, you don't just consider your plan. You have to consider what the enemy's impact on that plan is. If we do this, he's going to do this, and then we'll do this, and he'll do this, and oh, that's not going to work. Okay, if we do this, he's going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then he's going to do this, and yeah, this just might work, we'll do that, right? And so we would consider that. And when we would always pick a smart guy to play the enemy. Because we want a good enemy, right? You want to plan against a good opposition. I'll just start using that word, opposition. And so we would look at, here I go back to the enemy word, we would look at enemy courses of action. This is what the opposition is probably going to do. Most likely course of action. And so if it's the most likely course of action, then yeah, you better have a plan to deal with that, right? If we do this, he's most likely gonna do this. All right, well then we got a plan for that. We have a response for that, or an action for that. The other thing we would look at, in addition to the most likely course of action, is what is the most dangerous course of action? See, because the most dangerous is typically not the most likely, but you better have a plan for it, as unlikely as it may be. And so we would plan that. And you had to answer that question. All right, the most likely thing the enemy is going to do is this. The most likely thing the opposition is going to do is this. What's your plan for that? Got it. The most dangerous thing that they're going to do, or that they could do, is this. What's your plan for that? The answer to that question is not, we're just going to suck our thumb, curl up in a fetal position and whine, right? So, let's look at that. The most likely course of action for what's going to happen in the next 30 days is that Trump is going to be inaugurated as the President of the United States. All right, then let's see what he can do, right? The most dangerous course of action, from my perspective, is that he is not inaugurated as a President of the United States, and in fact, Hillary is. I didn't say most likely. I said most dangerous. And we don't plan the most dangerous course of action is that the enemy is going to get, I'm going back to Special Forces days, reinforcements from Zebulon Nephi solar system of aliens, right? Because that's ridiculous. It has to be reasonable. It is reasonable that Hillary could be the next president of the United States. Oh, Pastor Joe, no it's not. Oh, doom porn, yada, yada, yada. Let me tell you something. There's a whole lot of people smarter than you and me that think it's a possibility and are working very hard towards that end. And they're throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks, right? What was the first? There was something before the Russian hacking. Whatever. It's like, this blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, that didn't work. This blah, blah, blah. Okay, that didn't work. What's next? Because the Russian hacking thing, CIA comes out that political puke. It kills me. I got to be careful here. It kills me when people who should be in positions of the greater trust of the nation just turn pure political. Whether that's right-wing or left-wing political, by the way. Do your job. Do your job. If you're the director of Central Intelligence, do your freaking job. I dislike that guy. I don't even know who he is. Anyway, they come out and say, yeah, the Russians, they probably influenced the election. And then the uproar starts, and then they back off of that, right? Because and they've created such a hierarchy in our country right now of, national intelligence director and all this stuff. But the head muckety-muck says, no, I'm not endorsing that position. To which the press then goes, well, he's not denying it. Yeah, he's not endorsing it, guys. That means something. And then the CIA director evidently backed off, right, and said, oh, well, the Washington Post took us out of context. Ooh, that balloon's not going up there very well. So what's next? See, they're not done. And the time's getting shorter. So dangerous things could happen. I read stuff on the internet. I read the woo-woo stuff. I read the normal stuff, lots. There are people... I'm not one of them, but there are people out there that think there could be a huge false flag operation soon. And then from that, right? Could happen. I don't really need to, me personally, dwell into the how it could happen. I just look at the big picture. What if Hillary is inaugurated? I stand by what I said earlier. That drove people crazy, and I'd actually kind of like to see some of the anti-Trump people address this, what I'm about to say. I said in a video that if Hillary won, I was going to work on a fallout shelter, because I think we're going to have a nuclear war with Russia. And people are like, we're going to war under Trump with Russia, not Hillary. So many people said that. You can go back and look at the comments on that What I'll Do If Hillary Wins video. Yeah, what are you saying now? See, now everybody's switched their tune. They're like little lemmings, man. They're all running this way, and then they run this way, and then they run this way. And now their tune is he's in bed with the Russians. Okay, at first everyone's like, no, he's going to take us to war with Russia. Oh, no, he's in bed with the Russians. Hey, you know what the bottom line is? I think we won't go to war with Russia under Trump. And that pleases me greatly. I just want to live my life, bounce my great-grandchildren on my knee. I think under Hillary, we'll go to war. And the problem with that is, in my thinking, is that the Russians do math and they play chess and they're better at both than we are. We have a better, in some ways, quantitatively, better military than the Russians. They don't want to get in a long, drawn-out fight with America, because they'll probably lose. And they know that. And I used the analogy before and a lot of people missed it. They're the smaller guy, militarily speaking, but man, they've got some tools, right? And the smaller guy can win a fight. Ask me how I know. But he's got to commit early and hard. And so I think if the Russians see this thing playing out down the road and they say, well, because they war game too, right? Everybody war games. Hillary gets in, she's going to do this, we're going to do this, she's going to do this, we're going to do this, she's going to do this, and we lose. Yeah, that's no bueno. All right, dun, 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 dun. So they're doing their, enemy most likely course of action, enemy most dangerous course of action. And I believe they could arrive at the decision that, boom, right there. That's how we end this. We end it when we start it. Because if we let them start the dance, we're going to lose. Self-defense. Self-defense 101, right? I teach women, if you have a knife or a weapon or something like that in the class, you don't pull it out and say, back away from me, I'll cut you. Back away from me, I'll shoot you. Oh, heck no. When you pull that thing out, use it. Most dangerous course of action for us, Hillary wins. Somehow. She didn't win, she stole it. They're not elected, they're selected. You guys are arguing over semantics when you should be thinking about big picture stuff. You should think about the effect on you and yours. What's going on? If Hillary becomes the president, how is that going to affect you? How is that going to affect you and yours? And what actions are you going to need to take? I talked in another video about, it says low battery, so I'll finish this up, about surprise. And surprise doesn't mean they don't know it's coming. They don't know you're coming in this case. Surprise just means they don't find out early enough to do anything about it. Are there some steps that if Hillary gets selected as the president, you would have wished you had done between now and then? If so, you better get on it. Most likely, I think Trump's getting in. Most dangerous, some things to think about. All right, hey, I'll see you out there.